So, Ankita, I welcome you again to IITM Fraternity and Family on behalf of all the students and family of IITM. So, I hand over the session to Ankita. Ankita, it's all yours.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, everyone, for taking out time to come over here and listen to what I have to say about mental health and the corporate scenario. And big thanks to the team of IITTM for building up this platform. It's a good learning, just not for the students, but for myself as well. Uh, I'll go ahead with the presentation now. So, Sir has already introduced me as the student from 2008-10 batch, and this topic is very close to my heart because I have been a survivor of a mental health issue, and I just want to share my experiences. There is going to be quite a bit of theoretical content rather than graphical. So just bear with me and don't get bored. The contents would be like this. What is mental health? The general issues that we face and hear about. Why awareness is important? The corporate scenario, like how our work life affects our day-to-day lifestyle, and self-diagnosis, how you can help yourself and maybe somebody close to you. What is all about professional health, the differentiation between different kind of professionals available in the market, and some resources, and yes, then questions and answers. So what is mental health? It is just absolute part of our well-being, our total health, be it physical or mental. It is all about health. So, according to WHO, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease of infirmity. So, if you say you are a healthy person, it means you are mentally healthy as well. It's not just about your physical health. So, general issues. We have heard a lot about people having anxiety, being anxious about a certain situation and everything, which is absolutely normal. But if you have been anxious about everything that you do in a day, be it waking up on time, showing up at work on time, it's a part of your routine for a prolonged period of time, then it means you are suffering from an anxiety and to the level that you might need some help. So if there is somebody or if there is someone whom you think is doing this kind of a thing on a regular basis, maybe like 2 or 3 months or more, that person might be suffering from anxiety. Phobia is very common that we all know about. It is just the fear that we are not able to overcome for maybe a lifetime or certain period of time. Uh, then it is depression. People generally mistake depression with sadness. There is sadness, but it has to be again for a prolonged period of time. And depression includes majorly three elements, I would say: loss of energy, loss of interest, and frequent mood fluctuations. So that is all about depression. It is prolonged sadness with hopelessness and just something that is weighing you down. So if you are sad, don't call yourself depressed. Uh, it will help you in coming out of that sadness much quicker than a depressed person would be. OCD is a compulsive behavior, be it about thinking or acting in a way. Uh, People would say we are suffering from an OCD if they are accustomed to do something uh, which is not normal and which is very much out of the habit. From an habit, it becomes a obsession. So it could be checking your phone, it could be checking your emails or checking your deadlines, but then you are not getting anything done. Like these days, I understand people who would be suffering from OCD of cleanliness or hygiene. I am sure they must be full of anxiety and everything, because they would be washing hands, they would be cleaning their home like crazy, uh, which we all are doing in some part. But yeah, a person who is already suffering from OCD of that kind would be doing it on another level. So that is there. And PTSD is a very different thing from depression, I would say. People generally term a person as depressed after loss of someone, or something which has fatal happened in the family or something. But depression is very different from PTSD. And in depression, you are not hopeful. There is a lot of energy, loss of energy and everything. But PTSD takes it to the another level, and it might lead to something which could turn into suicidal thoughts. So PTSD is there. And then harassment and bullying. We don't need an introduction to this term. We have heard, and somewhere down the line, people might have even experienced this a lot, or maybe less. But this is some topic which I think everybody is aware of. Eating disorder. This is the most common disorder, which we all have, I guess, in some or the other way, experienced in one or the other phase of life. So it could be binge eating. I'm a binge eater. And they could be a person who is afraid of gaining weight. They just want to stay slim all their life. So if they're not eating because of the fear of not gaining weight, then it could be anorexia, which is a mental health issue. And then there is another form of disorder in which you gain weight, but you're not eating much. So it could be, it generally affects our hormones and everything. And so these are the very common issues that we have heard of, or what we might, or somebody close to us might have experienced. So I'm not going into other major mental health issues. So these are the common ones. Let's come to why awareness is important. And before I go ahead with that, I'd like to play this video for you.
Mental health is something which no one comes to know when. It's not very prominent, even though everyone is a victim to it in one way or the other. We just don't show it out.
As in, when you talk about mental health, it's something that you need to be reminded of sometimes when, in general, when you have a conversation. Like, yeah, we do, even with friends or some, or when you're sitting or hanging out, you do talk about these things. Like when we read about when she launched the campaign, Dubara Pucho and all that. So yeah, that became a topic of conversation, but then in general, it doesn't come up.
Yeah.
I'm a health worker, and I'm finding a lot of people are suffering with what you call mental illnesses. And I can say by what you call the sure economy and all the things, but by research, I'm saying that almost 60% of people are suffering with depression.
Society as a whole, people are ignorant.
Right.
People, not everybody knows, and on top of it, nobody cares.
डिप्रेशन में लोग आ जाते हैं कभी कदार
इतना माहौल, इतना प्रदूषण हो चुका है, पॉपुलेशन है हर जगह, कहीं पे भी आप जाएंगे देखेंगे कि धूल मिट्टी और गाड़ियों की प्रॉब्लम से इतना डिप्रेशन हो जाता है कि उसकी वजह से मानसिक रोग हो जाता है।
They will be away from people. They will be separating themselves from others. They don't like speaking and they don't like communicating with others. They want to be isolated. They don't want to enjoy the life.
जैसे मुझे लगता है डिप्रेशन के से वही ज़्यादा होते हैं जो ज़्यादा या तो अपने आप को बिजी नहीं कर पाते, मे बी जो फ्री ज़्यादा है,
उनका बिहेवियर यही कुछ ऐसे वैसे बातें करना या कुछ वैसी चीजें, गंदगी वाली चीजें उठाना, ये कुछ वैसे लगता है देखने में तो समझ में आता है कि हाँ मेंटली डिस्टर्ब है, या कुछ फालतू की बातें करना, तब पता नहीं।
The word psychiatry is the biggest what you call taboo in our what you call culture. It's the biggest taboo in our culture. We don't go to the psychiatrist. We don't consult a psychiatrist. I will go to a neurologist. Okay, it seems that it's a normal thing for me, neurology. But if a question arises about psychiatry, that's the biggest taboo in my culture.
If any person is under depression, the particular family members, the friends, the people who are really close to your heart, these are lots of important in your life. They are the they are the soulmates for you. And to bring out of depression, not even I don't think psychologists, counselings, they are secondary. The first thing is coming is priority is family.
I'll try to solve myself. If that doesn't work, I go to my family, and if needed, I'll prefer psychiatrist.
A psychiatrist or a counselor.
A counselor. Because my mom is my biggest counselor.
Of course, there are a lot of psychiatrists, but I don't think that it's that much in fashion. If a person is referred to a psychiatrist, he starts thinking that he is mad or somewhat. So it's not in a good channel or good. It's not. I don't think that it's that in fashion.
In the last few years, there's been quite a change in India. There's less stigma, although it continues to exist. I think people are much more aware about what mental health is and why it's so important.
In my experience, one of the most important hindrances is parents and families primarily refuse to acknowledge that there is an individual who's suffering.
Family plays a very key role in recovery. If the family is not supportive, then it becomes very difficult for a person to acknowledge that they have a problem. Often they feel even worse, ashamed of having a problem, they may be guilty of that they have an issue unless it's acknowledged by the family.
Society on the whole has kind of created a stereotypical, typical image that mental health is that you've lost your mind. And along with losing your mind, you're completely dysfunctional, you're violent, and therefore it's almost like you're written off.
Actually, I was only aware that I had a problem after shock treatment was given to me. But then I accepted further help later, professional help, when I found the gentleness and the understanding that I needed in that vulnerable state. And then I worked with that. Well, the most hurtful thing is when somebody told me they would put me into an asylum. So yes, that was painful, but also propelled me into being stronger.
The biggest challenge I faced was I found out that there's such a lack of awareness. So I was running a very successful company at that point of time, and I was working with the brightest minds available out there. First thing they said was, oh, we have to keep it under wraps. We have to conceal this, otherwise we're going to lose contracts. What are the clients going to say? So we have to hush it up till you figure out what's wrong with you. Snap out of it. Get over it. Go for a movie, you'll be fine by evening. So these are the kind of reactions I got. I'm extremely frightened to even imagine what would have happened to me if I had not sought professional help. I don't know, I might not have been alive.
I have known the pain that surpasses pain. I have known the joy that it unveils. The pain and the joy a habit in my heart to distill a wine of equal parts.
I hope everyone was able to see that video. And what we can pick from that video is uh, not everyone is aware what mental health is, and not everyone is always supportive or to give you a proper guidance. Uh, Sometimes the family might not accept and live in denial, and that brings out the guilt and anxiety in the person who is already suffering from it. So some might think that mental health issue can either help just to the rack, because as there was one person saying that you talk dirty, you pick up dirty stuff. So, and I remember in one of the conferences, even Deepika Padukone was questioned if this is one thing only the privileged people suffer from, but it's not the case. It's all about being aware about it, accepting it, and then coming forward to seek help. So it is not only important for us to be aware, but for other people around us to be aware about it. Let's go to another slide. Okay. So according to National Mental Health Survey 2016, these are the statistics, which is like 4 years ago. What was the scenario in India about the mental health? So around 115 million adults. So adults would include only people who have been surveyed, but we know that even children suffer from mental health issue, no matter what. But we'll focus on adults because we all are working people. So around 150 million have suffered that issue. 1 in every 20 people have depression. And I read a report from WHO talking about mental health in workplaces, and it said 1 in every 4 person worldwide, a working professional, suffers from one or the other mental health issue. So we can just imagine the actual number, but still not coming forward or accepting it. Then there is 13.7% is the lifetime prevalence of mental health issue, that people live with that issue throughout their lifetime without either being aware of it or not seeking help. Then 10.6% is the current prevalence. That would mean it is an issue which have been cured or people seek help, so they are able to manage their stuff better. And 0.9% of the population has suicidal risk. And these are figures from 4 years ago. So with the current scenario, people getting laid off, not having enough money, and bankruptcy, or companies shutting down, I am just not sure where this figure might be going, which is alarming and saddening, but we can help each other in a way. These are the very common symptoms, I would say, that we can find around us or in us, but don't mistake them for some momentary behavior. It could be because of a personal issue or a normal physical health issue that the person or yourself are feeling. But if any of this is a prolonged behavior, especially 3 out of any of these is a regular pattern for more than 3 months, then it is an alarming situation. So just assess people around you or yourself, what is deviating from your normal behavior, to help you understand where do you stand in the current scenario. Now we are coming to the main topic, that is the corporate scenario. Wall Street Journal in 2015 said that if you are part of India's growing workforce, chances are you have felt the stress that comes along with competing in the world's fourth fastest growing economy. And 5 years later today, we are somewhere else. And it's just not about India now, it's globally. We all know what is happening around. But generally, what impacts us at a workplace uh, is the environment that generally we talk about. So it is very important for the corporates or the people around us to understand that we all are humans, we are working with each other. So it is okay to be empathetic, and it's okay to ask questions. There is absolutely no issue in talking about stuff that you are worried about. And yes, I think everyone of us has learned since long that we should keep our personal and professional lives separate. But I personally do not believe that, because at the end of the day, we all are humans and we need to work together. We have feelings, we have emotions, and surpassing anything that we need to talk about, be it just an assignment that or a project that we have been given, but we are ashamed to go back to our manager or our team that I'm not able to understand this or I'm not able to work it out, and you're just worried about it. It can turn into an anxiety, which is not good for your own health, right? So it's better to always come forward and make friends at your workplace. Let's go by these headings that generally we have seen can cause issue at a workplace. First is organizational function and culture, which I initially talked about. That is the environment. We understand that there is politics, but yes, apart from that poor and working environment, it could be unsupportive stuff. Uh, it could be no recreation time, overtime, overworked. So it is there. Role in the organization. This can be a issue for a lot of people who do not have a defined role and they do not feel valued in that contribution of the company. Then there's career development. Everybody is looking for growth. We all work for growth. First comes the learning, and then we want to step ahead in our lives. Everyone wants that. But when you have been working and you do not get appreciated, you do not get an opportunity to enhance your skills, it's okay to come forward and ask a manager about it. But somewhere down the line, it also creates an insecurity in you if you're not getting a chance to grow, that maybe I'm doing something wrong, maybe I'm not performing well, and that can cause a level of anxiety towards you, or start doubting yourself, like I'm not good enough for this. So there goes the career development. Then there's decision making. If you're not being asked to participate in the major decisions of the company or your team. Interpersonal relationships at work. This is very important in my view, because as I said, you need to have friends at work, but most of the time we hide about it because we do not trust everyone around us, and it can lead to surpassing your actual capability. You might not be able to, participate in a teamwork, uh, or you might not be able to give ideas or initiatives, build healthy relationships within the company. So there goes interpersonal relationships. Under content, we have quantities and quality of life, work schedule, task design, which is there. And keeping in mind the current scenario, it is becoming even more of importance. So since the people are being laid off from so many companies, or the offices are being shut down, there might not be so much of work, but then it creates an insecurity in everyone's mind. What if I'm the next? And if there would be a sudden inflow of work, people will be overworked, they might be working overtime, whereas the company might be thinking, let's hire somebody only after we have made a certain amount of revenue, or at least met the break-even point. So in that due course of time, the people who are actually working might get stressed, might be anxious, or start feeling, okay, I am worthy of work, but I'm not getting what I wanted. I'm not getting any hike. I'm not getting a better pay. I'm not getting a better workspace. So all these issues can arise given the fact what we are going through right now, apart from what it has been in the corporate culture. And if we start comparing the international companies and the Indian companies, I understand again the scenario is very different. Right from working hours, working days, to the chain of delegation and hierarchy, it is very different, and it can be very stressful. I have gone through that phase, so I can just imagine what everybody else might be going through. And in current situation, somewhere down the line, I'm feeling blessed that I don't have a job that I don't have to worry about losing. But also it is a bad part because I don't know when I'll be getting my next job. But whoever is working right now, be it work from home, be on a pay cut, be on a forced leave without pay, they would be on a very different level of stress. And in the coming future, we cannot assure where the industry is going to stand, because obviously travel industry has been impacted to the maximum. But when and where we are going to revive and how things will come out is going to keep us all worried. But it's never too late to start working on your current stress right away. So just let's go to the next slide. How can you self-help yourself? And before that, we should be aware of this, the Mental Healthcare Act of 2017, which made a very paradigm shift from people suffering from mental health issue to be treated as of criminal nature or being discriminated into somebody who need utter care and attention and treatment. So first of all, what we can as an individual can think of ourselves to help is remember that money is not your guarantee to happiness and peace. It is a mode to achieve some of it, but not all of it. Because if we are going to just run after it, stress ourselves, overwork ourselves, not our body, but our mental health will be affected. And if you are suffering from any issue, be it general stress, it's better to confide in somebody, share it with someone, preferably someone older, as I've mentioned, and it could be your direct manager, it could be your HR, it could be a friend at work. But before we share, we should be aware that that person is aware of this mental health issue, because sometimes from my personal experience, I'm saying sometimes at work, people might think that you are giving it as an excuse for not working, or you're just trying to gain sympathy, which is not. And sometimes it can become like another stressful situation for yourself to whom to share with at workplace. So if not at workplace, share it with your parents. Moms are best people to confide in, but they can also get worried themselves. So choose a person who can be trusted with your issue and you think they are not going to judge you for that. Start maintaining a journal about your everyday life. this is one thing that has helped me a lot. I used to maintain my journal like crazy. I like to share, just if you can see, I used to write like anything. And the best thing my therapist told me is to compartmentalize my thoughts. And that helped me to segregate what is beyond my control, what is in my control, and how can I cut down my stress level. Ask questions in respect to your job. If you're unclear what is expected out of you and keeping you worried, as I've said before, there is no shame in saying, I am not able to understand this stuff. Yes, people will think that maybe you are slow at learning, but at least you will not overpromise and overcommit and deliver what is expected, rather than being sorry, okay, this wasn't accurate, this wasn't what was expected out of me. Declutter your workspace. That is a very good way to declutter your mind. So you can try this strategy of keeping your priorities, associating them with everything at your workplace. So maybe thing which is of utmost important, you can associate with your laptop or your system. Second most, maybe with your telephone. Third one, again, with your diary. So that is one way you can compartmentalize and prioritize your stuff. Take breaks. They can be very powerful for you to refocus on your work. Again, there is breathe and refocus. Why I wrote refocus? Because when you are taking deep breaths, you need to focus on your breath and then refocus on your work. I have attached a link to one very good exercise which I used to follow a lot. It's around 15 to 20 minutes thing, and I'm not sure if all the workplaces do allow that long break during the work time, but you can start off doing it in your free time and then cut it short as per your convenience to use at your workplace. So next is stay away from social media if it adds up to your worries, especially given the current situation where Facebook, Twitter, everything is flooded with all kinds of news. So if you think any of these any of these news are going to affect your stress level, just unfollow the page, deactivate your account for some time, and just keep the useful news or useful updates to yourself. Don't spread it until unless you think the other might be helped with. But social media is at this time is just creating a lot of unrest, especially in India. We all know. So stay away from it if you keep worried. Ask help for your assignments. Again, there is no problem in asking your colleagues or your teammates for help. Sometimes this can bring out the good in you. Like this can be a step towards leadership, that you are asking people to come together and work. You can be a very good team player. Don't think of it as a negative impact if you're asking for help. Look towards the positive ways you can use if you're unsure about something. So if you are asking for help, it means you are a good team player. It means you are open to ideas and learning, and you can be a very good leader. Resolve conflicts. We have all seen work-related conflicts. Be a better person. Approach the person you have the conflict with or you think can be a probable conflict. Because at the end of the day, we all have to work together, be it on a certain project, be it in a certain team, shorter or longer period of time. But conflicts will just worsen your situation if you're already stressed. Spend time things doing that lift up your spirits and stay calm. We all have heard that do what you love, but it's not always the situation, ideal situation, I would say. Do something which is very realistic and achievable, so that you don't have to worry about it. For example, X loves to travel, but right now they can't travel, be it for money reason, be because of lockdown or whatsoever. So do something which will help you out, calm you down. Draw something, cooking, writing. It could be something which you like and which is very realistic, doable, and which is actually helping you to calm down, not to worry about. Say no to something we feel is keeping us worried isn't a shame. At workplace, we all think the more we do is better for our performance, but not always. If you are going to overpromise or overcommit onto something and you're not able to deliver it because you're keeping worried, or if you are have delivered but not with the accurate results, it's not going to help you either. And I think in some places, at my workplaces, I was a popular one to say no to a few things, and I have never mind that. But it has helped me to grow as a person, because I know what are my capabilities, what are my limits, and I'm not going to push them all together at one go. I'll push them one by one, but it's always better to understand what you can do and you can achieve and you can deliver. Set your own timeline to get things done, even if we are working at home and if you're working on targets. It's much better to set your own targets rather than the targets given by the company. You have to achieve them, but then rework on them, keep your scheduling, break up the assignments, and understand what you can achieve in a day. If you can overachieve it, be happy about it, but just don't stress over yourself that I haven't done this thing as yet. There'll be tomorrow. You can do the pending work as well as the work which is being assigned to you for next day. But there is no problem in sometimes leaving it halfway. I understand it might not be a very good thing for everyone to do, but if it's going to help you not keeping worried and being stressed, why not? And stay away from caffeine, alcohol, that can trigger the panic. Like, we all are tea lovers and we all like to party, but certain amount doesn't harm. But if you are very anxious or depressed, especially some people do give each other an idea, okay, just have a drink, you'll be fine, or something like that. Don't do it. Don't suggest and don't do it. Seek help. So before I'm going to talk about how you can seek help apart from self-help, let's define just three terms that we use very frequently. A counselor is a master degree holder in counseling, arts education, and mental health. They are good at psychotherapies. But in India, you will also find counselor who are just the certificate holders. They might not be a degree holder. So they can just help you with the guidance as to how you can help yourself and what you can do further if not getting well. Then there is psychiatrists. They are medical doctors, and they will diagnose and then prescribe medicines. They do not give you therapies. Then there are psychologists. They are degree holders, doctoral degree holders, and they give you psychotherapies, but not medications. There are also clinical psychologists that some of us might have heard of. They are very good at psychotherapies. Apart from that, they will assign you activities and assignments that can help you, declutter or tidying up your mind and thoughts, and how to manage your mental health issue. But again, they cannot advise you medicines. So in my case, I went to a clinical psychologist because I did not want to go on medications. And I wanted to do something in which I can manage my own health issue rather than relying on medicines for a prolonged time, because I have friends who are under medication and withdrawals can be problematic. And therapies and activities just change your lifestyle. So that is a much better option in my view. Online help, we all are aware of online platforms where you can get the counseling and the therapies. So, but I do not rely them for absolute diagnosis and treatment. But then they are good resource of providing guidance. And then there's offline help professionals where you can meet face to face and talk about stuff. I would say when to seek them if these self-help techniques are not able to help you. So if for example, if I'm suffering from something for 3 months and another 3 months I've been trying to write a journal or something and I feel I'm not getting better, I'm still worried, even more worried, then I'll seek offline help. If somebody has a trust issue or paranoia about it, that no, I can't talk to somebody I know of, and a stranger is better to talk about stuff. So a professional help is better. And people suffering from acute depression and anxiety can be also victim of bedwetting and sweat strokes and sometimes sleep apnea. So if you think this is happening to an adult who is stressed, then one needs a professional help. And these are just my suggestions, and everybody is open to decide what they want when they want. These are some of the resources, some books that I have either read or been suggested to. So I have myself read Mindfulness, Bliss and Beyond by Ajahn Brahm, and Who Ordered This Truckload of Dung by Ajahn Brahm. So I really liked these two. I have completed these two books, and this is the another book, Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I started reading it, but I did not find it very interesting. It is similar to Rhonda Byrne's books, The Secret and all. People must have heard of. But yes, these are the top 5 books that people talk a lot about when they are suffering from mental health issues. So, and this picture is here. Why? Because it is always better to not compare yourself with anybody else. It is not just going to keep you worried, because it's a human tendency that we always see others' achievement and our failures, which is anyway going to create self-doubt, self-guilt, and it's not good for your mental health. And if you, even if you're doing the other way out, you're noticing your achievements and their failure, somewhere down the line our mind gets trained and we start treating the other person, demeaning them, or that they are not of utmost importance, which can later on turn into mental harassment or bullying. So just do not compare yourself with anybody, and as it says, good mental health for all. These are some of the websites which can help you out to understand about mental health better. And yeah, mental health is just important as your physical health. So if somebody gets a flu, fever, we go to a physician. Similarly, if somebody is suffering from a mental health issue, you go to a counselor or psychologist, whosoever. And yes, nobody should be catching flu right now. And yeah, thank you for keeping up the patience with this presentation. And smile, it's a free therapy. And one thing I would request everyone to start doing, maybe because I do this myself, is to remember to check on someone today and ask how they're doing. If you don't feel the first response is satisfactory, then dobara pucho. So I've made it a point to talk to someone I haven't contacted very recently, one person a day, to talk about how they are doing. So that is there, and thank you. I'm open to questions now, if you have any.
Okay, thank you, Ankita, for lovely session.
Thank you.
A lot. And apart from that, we come to know many things about mental health as well as about corporate scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Now over to audience. If you have any questions, you can ask her. Anyone? No?
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Priyanka.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Priyanka, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Ma'am, there is a question regarding one of my friend. He's suffering from this anxiety, depression, and brain strokes.
Okay.
So question is कि वो किसी से बात नहीं करना चाहता है क्योंकि वो शेयर नहीं कर सकता है, तो उस केस में वो फिर क्या करे? मतलब स्ट्रेस है और मेंटली काफी ज्यादा चीजें हो रही है और ब्रेन स्ट्रोक्स भी आते हैं ज्यादा स्ट्रेस लेने के वजह से, तो फिर उस केस में वो मतलब क्या ऐसी एक्टिविटीज कर सकता है कि वो उसे ओवरकम कर सके?
See, the best way to let out something is to write, in my view. If he can't talk to anybody, if he has either trust issues or whatsoever, that person should maintain a journal, start writing whatever they are feeling. And it's not necessary that he has to show it to somebody. Just write it out and clear it away if that helps. Otherwise, online counseling can be one thing, because sometimes people shy out. We don't want to share our name or our faces or our identity. So it is okay to go on an online counseling session where you can talk to somebody, vent it out. That's the first step to recovery. Once you accept that you want to get better, so that is a first step. So you will have to talk to your friend, to start talking to somebody, if not you, if not his parents, but somebody.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
No problem.
Okay, I have a question. Hi, Ankita.
Yes.
It
Hi,
was a
Devagini.
lovely session.
Thank you.
Okay, generally when you hear these words, anxiety, depression, and these words, the immediate action of ours is Googling it. और गूगल में जो भी बोलता है, the first reaction is अच्छा मुझे depression हो गया है. You yourself told this over the PPT कि इतना मतलब घबराओ मत and all.
Yeah.
तो do you have any separate message or something so that Googling be not a hobby and let's go by the vibes?
Yes. So, and I think it is not just with the mental health, it is about the physical health also. Like people start Googling, okay, I'm having fever, I'm having backache, what could be a problem, right? So, and we start assuming we have these kind of medical issues. Similarly with mental health, please don't just Google your symptoms. It is not going to help you in any way. Google is not a person. It is just an OS which works on artificial intelligence. And human intelligence, human compassion and empathy cannot be matched with Google, right? So if you are feeling you're not feeling good, talk to somebody, not your best friend, your teacher, your manager, but somebody, so that they can help you understand what you are going through, and if not, then just write it down and go for online counseling. There are so many platforms right now where actually certified counselors are there, and they can help you understand things better rather than just Google.
True, very true.
I hope I answered your question.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions?
Ankita, there's a question from Pratik.
Yes, Pratik.
Okay, yeah. Are motivational videos really helpful in getting out of depression? No, I wouldn't say no. They're not. They will make you feel better momentarily, but it is not a cure. It is not a treatment. So if you are sure that it is depression, it is prolonged sadness, the best way is to vent it out. Motivational videos are a support system, just like a family. Like the family will support you, your friends will support you. Motivational videos will help your spirits be up, but they are not a permanent cure. So if somebody is suffering from acute depression, please go and seek help.
So go and fight with your friends.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I think that is all for today. Any other questions? Thank you, Ankita. It was a really intriguing and wonderful session. We've learned a lot about what is mental health, what are the challenges, what are the issues, what types of mental
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
I typed the question, though. Please, I would suggest that.
Okay, type your question.
Having a word with people is certainly helpful, but it requires courage to do the same. Yes, it does. And speaking from my personal experience, as I shared, I am still in recovery stage. Now my sessions are like once in 3 months or 6 months. So it has taken me courage to come forward and seek a professional help, and even tell my parents that there's nothing wrong with me, but it's just I'm maybe too sensitive, or I think a lot and I take too much pressure, which is just affecting my mental as well as physical health. Because once you're not mentally well, you start falling sick very frequently. Have the courage. Don't feel ashamed. There is absolutely no problem in talking about your own health. Okay, if you cannot talk to your parents, talk to your friend, talk to somebody. And I have given you my email ID and number. If you want to talk to me, you are most welcome.
Yeah. Abhi Bhandari has something.
He's the same guy, sir. Abhishek.
Yeah.
Sometimes one doesn't even realize he or she is.
Yes.
But what is your call on the friends making somebody realize that the person is having some mental issues?
Sometimes, yes, friends help somebody. Like if I'm suffering from depression, there is quite a probability that I don't find it very weird, me being depressed, but my friends can tell that I'm behaving very differently than my normal behavior. So they can either encourage me to go forward and ask for help, or they would ask somebody older or somebody who can at least convince me to talk about what I'm dealing with. So that is the first step. Yes, people live in denial, but acceptance is the first step to getting better.
Okay. Salama sir, will you sum up?
Yeah. Okay, so Ankita, on behalf of IITTM and students of IITTM, I would like to thank you for taking out your time and sharing your views on the mentioned topic. And again, thank you very much, Ankita.
Thank you, everyone, for maintaining patience and this opportunity. It was wonderful to talk about.
Yeah, and at last, again, I would like to thank audience also for coming up and listening to her. Now coming forward, tomorrow we are coming up with another topic, that is the story of Oyo by Kartika from the same batch. So tomorrow, same time. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Thank you then. Thank you
Right
so
then,
much.
see you all. Stay home.
Bye.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Thank you so much.